Het is 8 uur in de Republiek Suriname. Dat wil zeggen dat het tijd is voor een nieuwe aflevering van Mmanten Taki. Het is donderdag 11 februari 2021. Vandaag hebben wij op bezoek de ambassadeur van Brazilië, zijn excellentie Laudemar Aguiar. Dank u wel, ambassadeur.
Alsjeblieft, Klezen.
Welkom in Mmanten Taki. How did you sleep last night, ambassador?
Well, I slept well. I think I sleep very well here in Suriname. Though, of course, with only a few days to go, I'm a bit nervous and sad to leave Suriname.
Nervous and sad.
Yeah, I've learned two, I think I will forget, but I learned two sentences. Ik ben droevig.
Yeah.
Messari.
Sorry.
Leaving Suriname. Very much so.
And you're leaving Suriname after 3 years?
2 years and 3 months, yes.
Okay. How does it feel?
Again?
Yes, sad.
Messari. I'm very sad. I think me and my team, we did all that we could do to improve and increase relations between Brazil and Suriname. I'm very glad that I was posted here, that I knew Suriname, that I knew the Surinamese people, and that I managed to have connections with you, because you make us feel very welcoming and very at ease. I mean, it's very easy and very good to contact and have relations with Surinamese people in the government and civil society.
Yes, you make enough friends.
I did, and I'm very glad. That's what we take from life. There is love, it's friendship, most of all.
Yes. Ambassador?
Yes.
Recently, you have been pointed out by the President of the Republic of Suriname, His Excellency Chandrika Persat Santokhi, as the bearer of the Grand Ribbon of the Honorary Order to the Palm. Could you tell us more about how you felt at that moment?
I think in my speech it showed I felt overwhelmed.
Yes.
I didn't expect that. I knew that as a team, the embassy has tried to do a good job, that we, as I said, improved and increased the relations between Brazil and Suriname. But I mean, I felt so happy because it's a demonstration of not only the acknowledgement and demonstration of the work that has been done in the last years, the continuation of the work of my predecessors, but also the friendship and the importance of the relation between Brazil and Suriname. I received it not as an honor to myself only, but to the relationship between Brazil and Suriname and between our peoples.
Okay. How can you describe the relationship between Suriname and Brasilia?
I'll take it if I don't mind. We have social distancing,
yes.
So I think it's all right to do that.
Yeah.
We follow all the instructions and of the Minister of Health and be okay. I think that Suriname, as I say, is a hidden jewel. I'm saying that plainly, and a very nice surprise. Very few Brazilians know Suriname. Maybe people in Pará, in Fortaleza, in Rio, etc. But not all of Brazilians know Suriname, and I think Surinamese people don't know Brazil very much.
Okay.
And I urge you to go to Brazil whenever the pandemic allows, to know more Brazil, and I urge Brazilians to come to Suriname to know how beautiful and how nice is Suriname. And I think that apart from the job that we have to do in the trade area, technical cooperation, in political area and so on, the most important is to connect. And
Yes.
again, you make it very easy for us to connect. And one thing that I'll take to me is that your diversity, not only ethnicity diversity, your cultural diversity, but how you mingle, how you mix.
Yes.
I mean, wherever we go, we can see people from every background.
Yes.
And that's an example and a model to the whole world, including Brazil. You see, even our staff at the embassy, we have local staff, Brazilians and Surinamese alike, from all backgrounds. But if you take people who come from Brazil like me, we are from white background.
Yeah.
And that doesn't reflect exactly the mix that we have in Brazil. So you are an example even for Brazil and for Brazilians.
That's great to hear. Could you mention some highlights of your term of office?
Yes, I think that in the working area, I think one of the, let's say, the best achievements, apart from the high-level visits that we had here in Suriname, but also to Brazil. We had a president that went to Brazil, ministers that went to Brazil, ministers that came, Minister of State that came to Suriname, and the last one was our foreign minister who came for our Independence Day last 25th of November, Minister Ernesto Araújo from Foreign Affairs. It was that the missions were not only photo opportunities. We had several agreements that we have signed in several different areas, from agriculture, health, environment, infrastructure, administration, education, and I'm very glad that in 2018 we signed between Brazil and Suriname 14 agreements.
14.
That's the largest number of agreements that Brazil has signed with any country in the world. So Suriname was number one, the country with which we signed the largest number of agreements in 2018. And we had the largest number of technical cooperation projects in the world. And even today, even with the pandemic, and even with 6 cooperation projects that have finished during those last 3 years, we still have 12 technical cooperation agreements, 11 bilateral and 1 trilateral with Chile, in very different areas. So Suriname is the country in Latin America that has the largest number of agreements with Brazil and the second in the world.
Okay, that is huge, eh?
Yes.
For have 14 agreements. But according to COVID, not all of these agreements were having their
follow-up.
The follow-up. Can you mention some of them?
Of course, when you talk about technical agreements, the most important is to have people coming to Suriname or technicians from Suriname going to Brazil. That's how they know. They go on the field, how they work together, and of course with COVID that was impossible. But in some areas that was possible. For instance, in the strengthening of the central bank administration, we finished it in a virtual way last year. And right now we have virtual conferences between technicians from Brazil and Suriname in the agricultural area, in agroecology zoning of Suriname. So we are trying our best, as everybody is trying to do, to use online platforms and virtual means to be able to follow. So some have been followed, some haven't been able to be followed because they have to be have to come here or go to Brazil. But we hope that soon we'll end the pandemic with a vaccination that is also coming to Suriname, hopefully now this month, and we'll continue our cooperation.
Yes. You have visited the Minister of Home Affairs, Minister Bronto Somaharjo, and you talk about the legalization of Brazilians in Suriname. Is that a big issue you're facing nowadays?
I think it is a big issue because it's paramount for the government of Brazil and for the Brazilian population that we follow the law and the rules of every country where Brazilians are. And so one of my big efforts, and not only mine, but also from the government of Suriname, from the government of Brazil, is to try to find ways of having Brazilians who come here, mainly in the mining field and the mining area in the interior, to have a regular status.
Yeah.
Many come here, you know, we have an agreement on tourist visas. Many come here as tourists, and many overstay their time here because they are working. But I have to say, those Brazilians are hardworking people that help the economy of Suriname. They also want to make a better living for themselves. And the same way that they tried in the past to be part of the legalization projects that you put forward, now we think it's a time to move forward to some other more flexible ways that will benefit both Brazil and Suriname. You have now the electronic tourist visa.
Yeah.
Why not be able to have electronic work permit so that people who come here will pay to come here, so Suriname will receive the money beforehand. If they have the visa, they will be accountable, they will be able to be part of the financial system, they will be able to buy everything in the markets, they will be able to transfer money in the financial system, they will be able to be part of Suriname. And may I say, if it's not part of your question,
yeah,
but I'd like to highlight this. I was very happy that in 2019, the former government instituted the Day of the Migrant, and
yeah,
Brazilians were part of that, together with other nationalities that came to Suriname, apart from the normal ethnicity diversity that you have. But especially with this government, with President Mmanten Taki, I must say that I was extremely glad to hear him say to me, but also in your Independence Day, that Brazilians who live here now are part of the Brazilian society. Because we have people who come here just to work in the interior, for instance, but there are Brazilians who are here for decades,
yes,
and who have married other Brazilians or other Surinamese, that have Surinamese families that chose Suriname as their home,
yes,
exactly, and love Suriname. So to have this acknowledgement from the president, from President Mmanten Taki, that those Brazilians are part of the Surinamese society, and to have them parading for the first time in the Independence Day of Suriname, that made my day, and I think the day of many of Brazilians who live here.
Yeah. You also talked with the minister about the e-visa.
Yes.
And you mentioned already that that topic was important.
Yes.
But maybe you can highlight it again. Why was that topic so important for talking about?
I think that unfortunately we haven't concluded the negotiations. We have a working group on consular and migration matters that will happen this year. It should have happened before, but because of COVID and other things, it didn't. And my successor, who is very keen to come to Suriname already. We are almost every day speaking.
Yes.
And he should come next month to Suriname. I think he will try to end negotiations with the government of Suriname to have this electronic work permit. And why that? Because if you already grant the work permit, the person who comes here, I'm not talking only about Brazil, but of course, now I'm talking about the Brazilians.
Yeah.
If a Brazilian comes to work here with Suriname and he's already got his visa, again, it's much easier not only to be part of Suriname legally, but to work, in the benefit of Suriname. You see? Again, we want all Brazilians who live here, either permanently or temporarily, to follow all the laws, to follow the legislation of Suriname. And I think to grant this visa would allow those people to do it quite well.
Yes. Ambassador, how many illegal citizens of your country are living in Suriname?
Well, first of all, I don't call them illegal. I say they are in an irregular status.
Okay.
Because most of them...
Why?
Because most of them came here legally. I mean, but they came as tourists, you see, and they overstayed.
Yes.
And we don't make any difference. Whenever we are in an embassy abroad, we don't make any difference between people who have regular status or irregular status. We treat them all the same.
Equal.
But we want, yes, equal. But we want them to be, I mean, to have a regular status. That means translating to be legal in any country we are in. And that's what I think we should push.
Yeah.
We know we have here the Council of Brazilian Citizens in Suriname, with which are representatives of different areas, different sectors of Brazilians who live here, who have been working very closely with us, who have helped us and supported us to manage several problems that we had here, with consular problems with the Brazilians, and also to work together. And with the government of Suriname, let's say with Suriname, because the former government and the present government, we have been trying to work together as well. Even when we went to the interior, or to Albina, or to Antônio do Brinco, Bensdorp, to visit those Brazilians who were in the interior, who couldn't come to Paramaribo, we went with the Department of Immigration to tell them how they could legalize themselves, be part of the legalization project. We went with the staff from the Ministry of Health of Suriname that checked them on malaria, on HIV, AIDS, etc.
Yes. Yeah.
So we work very closely with them. And even with the pandemic now, we have been translating into Portuguese all directives of the Surinamese government on how people should do and how they should wear masks and have social distancing, and how they should approach BOE or the clinics, top clinic, if they have any symptoms, if they feel they have any symptoms related to COVID or any other disease. And we have also given medicine, we have given kits of different, in different areas, malaria, HIV, AIDS, leishmaniasis, and so on. And at the end of this month, I'm glad, unfortunately, I will not be here anymore, but a fully equipped ambulance to be used by Suriname to help in COVID will be coming. It's a donation from the Brazilian government.
That's nice to hear. Violence against women is a major public health issue, Ambassador.
Yes.
And I read that Suriname and Brasilia want to work together against violence.
Yes.
What can we expect?
Well, this is something that we have started. Violence against women, especially domestic violence against women, which is the most serious violence against women all over the world. It's not something that is only related to Brazil or to Suriname, and it has different issues, different problems that are related to that. You have physical violence, you have psychological violence, you have financial violence when the woman depends on the husband and can't leave and has to support their family. The idea is to work with the government and also with the civil society. You have here NGOs that try to protect women, to fight against violence against women, as we do in Brazil. And the idea is to put them together to find ways to tackle this problem, which is a worldwide problem.
Okay, and this issue is very huge, Ambassador, the illegal gold mining. The legal and illegal gold mining have become a biggest contributor to deforestation in Suriname. Now we know that the garipeiros are contributing to this deforestation, also Surinamese people. But what Brasilia and Suriname have done to tackle this issue?
I think nowadays the most important area where we should work together, and we have been trying to get closer together, is intelligence.
Yeah.
To tackle not only transnational crimes, but also environmental crimes. As I told you before, we want all Brazilians here to follow the rules. But most Brazilians who come here are Brazilians that have a very, let's say, an economic situation that they want to have a better living. They are not the owners of the places. They're not the owners of the mines. They just work for people in those mines. They just do their work. They try to have more means of financing themselves and helping their families. But of course we want, with the government of Suriname, to tackle not only the question of the financial area, of the legalization of those people, but also the environmental issue. Mercury in the water, for instance, that is a problem. We, Brazil and Suriname, we are part of international agreements that want to tackle that. Not only deforestation, but also how water can be well preserved. And we know that with 93% of natural cover in Suriname, you know how important this is for you to keep this. We are also part, Brazil and Suriname, in regional agreements in ACTO, which is the Amazon Cooperation Treaty. And the idea is to work not only bilaterally in this, but also in regional and international agreements.
And climate change?
Yes, the same. Exactly the same. Because it's all connected. When people talk about climate change, they think that someone who's living in São Paulo or Paramaribo will not be affected. But what happens in the south of Suriname, for instance, with deforestation, or what happens in the Amazon region, everything is connected. What happens in the oceans is connected. What's happening in the Arctic or in the Antarctic is all connected. We live in a big house, which is called Earth. And the more people realize that we had to tackle all those issues that are related to climate change and to the environment, the better. And we cannot do that alone, because if Suriname does a good job, but Brazil doesn't do a good job, Suriname is affected. Likewise, if Brazil does a good job, but Suriname not, we are affected as well as our neighbors. That's why we have to act together.
Okay. Ambassador, at least...
And I'm sorry, and I want to say that my successor, his specialization is the environment and sustainable development. So I'm sure he will pay much attention to this issue. I'm sorry.
Which projects need to be continued?
We have projects in agriculture, in health. We have just signed, the foreign minister has signed 2 complementary agreements last November on cybersecurity and in agriculture. And we want now, after the pandemic, not only to follow up with the projects that had to be stopped or slowed down because of the pandemic, but continue to go on with new projects in all areas. I mean, agriculture is important for you, administration is important for you, health is important for you, but not for you, for us as well. Because when we have a technical cooperation project with Suriname, for instance, we also learn. So it's a two-way technical cooperation project. We all learn with what we do.
Thank you. What will remind you of this country, Ambassador?
Oh my God, so many things. I'm going to Tehran. I'll be ambassador of Brazil to Iran. And I have one link with Suriname that will be kept. I have 4 stray dogs from Suriname, and I'm taking the parents. I cannot take the 4 of them together, but I'm taking 2 of them. So I have Surinamese dogs that will go with me to the other side of the world. But I will always remember, again, this connection that you give us, this possibility of interacting with everyone, how you welcome so warmly people. You know, and it's not only me, it's not only I, Laudemar, who is saying that because I'm leaving. Everybody that I knew, diplomats and other people alike, whenever they depart, they are sad. And that means a lot. That means that they will miss Suriname. My predecessor, Ambassador Marcelo Baumbach, who was here for 5 years before I came, he came to visit Suriname when I was here. He was my guest.
Yeah.
And he was planning to come again last year, but couldn't because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
You see? So, and I'm coming back, I tell you. And the connection between people, I think, is the most important that I'll leave, that I'll take with Suriname. Again, as I said to President Santokhi, I'll take in my heart and I'll take in my mind this connection that you create between foreigners who come here for the first time and who don't want to leave. I don't want to leave, but I have to leave. It's my career.
Who is your successor? What is his name?
Yeah, my successor's name is Ambassador Rafael Azeredo. He's now posted in Ottawa, in Canada. He's the deputy head of mission there, and it will be his first ambassadorship here in Suriname, as it was my first ambassadorship here in Suriname. And I'm sure that he'll continue the work that we have put forward. That is the continuation, is the build-up of the work that of the ambassadors and of the teams that came before me. As I always say, one person only can do anything. You can be a fantastic person, you can be an intelligent person, you can be cultivated, you can have a lot of knowledge. Alone, you don't do nothing. Everything that we did here, and I say we, not relating to me, not talking about Lodemar, but the embassy, Brazil, and the relationship between Brazil and Suriname. We did it together. My predecessors did it. We have had a wonderful and an excellent relation between Brazil and Suriname since your independence, independently of which government in each country was there. You just changed the government. We changed the government 2 years ago, and relations continue in a very good way because it's a state-to-state relationship. Brazil will not move from what it is. Suriname will not move from where it is. We are good neighbors. We have developed this connection, this friendship, and it will always go on and increase, I'm sure of it.
At least you can speak to the Suriname people and thank them for the time you have been here in Suriname. And you can so say a few words in Portuguese to your fellow Brazilians in Suriname.
Thank you so much. Well, I'd like to thank all of the Surinamese society, all Surinamese people whom I have met in all areas. I mean, I met Tyrant Spong, I met Jairzinho, big boy, who is gonna fight next week again. Hope he wins, he will. I have met Renzo, the swimmer, Jeffrey Fanan, the runner. I have met several artists from Suriname, from Kut Nahar to Rinaldo Klaas, Shondel Harten, René Tossari, I mean, Rodney Punki and Punghil and Dihad Ramsamudi, Kit Ling, Armorejo, I mean, Albert Pinas, Marcelo Pinas, so many. Thank you, Monique from Red Text, to make me know the artists of Suriname, the wonderful art that you have. I have known, I mean, I love Cinta MacLeod. Those who haven't read, please read Cinta MacLeod. I mean, I knew much of Suriname by reading the 3 books translated into English. Unfortunately, I don't speak Dutch, but in English from Cinta MacLeod, a wonderful person, a wonderful historian and writer. Also, Lisbeth, the pianist. I mean, and also the private sector. I mean, KKF and all the businessmen here. I mean, all my colleagues from the diplomatic corps and the whole of the Surinamese society. And I'm sorry I don't speak Dutch or Serrano-Tongo. I can only say that it's your fault because you speak at least 3, 4, 5 languages and you speak English perfectly. So it made me lazy to learn it. But I want to thank you. Dank u wel, Grantani. And for the Brazilian community, which we got closer together, I'm very, very glad that we could have a better relationship. Muito obrigado por vocês estarem aqui, por vocês fazerem parte da sociedade do Suriname, por vocês trabalharem e lutarem para se integrarem melhor à sociedade do Suriname, que é o país que vocês escolheram. E mesmo para os que estão aqui temporariamente, vocês também escolheram vir para o Suriname para fazer uma vida melhor, para ter uma vida melhor, para ter melhores meios para voltarem ao Brasil. Então vamos fazer o máximo para continuar trabalhando juntos, para que todos estejam seguindo as leis do Suriname, para que todos estejam aqui bem e integrados. Thank you very much.
Muito obrigado.
Obrigado.
Participar Mmanten Taki.
Thank you so much.
Ja, ik probeer hem in Portugees. Uno love me, maar ik doe mijn best. Maar mensen, dit was de ambassadeur van Brazilië, Laudemar. Wat je zegt? Aguiar. En hij verlaat Suriname. En hij bedankt het volk, de regering en iedereen die een bijdrage heeft geleverd tijdens zijn dienstperiode. En hij gaat naar Iran. En zijn opvolger heeft gezegd dat zijn opvolger ook ervoor gaat zorgen dat de relatie Suriname-Brazilië op een respectabele manier voort zal gaan.